So hi everyone. Let me first, before I start with the lecture, talk about the flip grid assignment for this week. This week, sorry, last week you had reading. Please guys, when we have an assignment, you have to do it. Okay guys? And because it's graded, I want to take a grade for you. So if you do not do your assignment, then you lose a grade. Let me admit Amir, then I'm going to continue talking. Okay. So, yes, I know, ya Amal, you did the reading on Flipgrid. You did it. Most of you didn't do it. They even sent it to me yesterday. So please, guys, when we have something on Flipgrid, the next time I'm not going to accept anything on WhatsApp. So this week you have dictation. What is the dictation about? You remember the phonics words about long O sound in your book, like bold, woo, tall? They are 20 words. What you have to do? Listen. For example, let's say your mother or your sister or your brother says the word for you, okay, and you have to spell it letter by letter, like the spelling bee. For example, now I choose Iltaf. Iltaf, unmute yourself, for example.
Yes, miss.
I give you the word water. Can you spell water? Spell the word water.
WATER.
Excellent. That's the way. Like what Eltaf did now. Thank you, Eltaf. Thank you. Mute yourself. Okay?
We need to make a dictation of grade.
Yes, that's it. But what are the words? The words are your phonics words on the book. Your phonics words
Okay.
on book, page 25, just from 1 to 20. The words from 1 to 20. Okay? So guys, the words from 1 to 20 only. You have a list of 20 words. You have a list of 20 words. Okay, your mother or one of your brothers or siblings has to tell you the words one by one, and you have to spell them letter by letter. Okay, like the spelling bee, and it's going to be graded. I'm going to take a reading grade, a dictation grade for it. Okay, are you ready now? Let's start our lecture. Our lecture this week will include grammar and writing. Grammar and writing. Okay, guys, I remembered something. On Friday, you have a quiz. On Friday, you have a quiz. The quiz will be in worksheet 1 only. Worksheet 1. So the quiz on a Friday, you have to revise worksheet 1 for this quiz. Okay, guys, worksheet 1 only. So now let's move to our lecture this week. What we're going to cover, we're going to cover grammar and writing. Grammar and writing. We have to identify or demonstrate awareness of complex sentences. So we're going to take the third sentence structure, the complex sentences. Okay. You're going to use subordinating conjunctions to make complex sentences. In the complex sentences, you will notice something that you have dependent and independent clauses. And tomorrow we're going to talk about the writing. I said the phonics words on your phonics book. Phonics words on your phonics book, okay? The list of the phonics words, okay? When you go to Flipgrid, you will know which words. I will display the words at the end. Don't worry. I'm going to turn off the chat now. So, what do you want, Nancy? Nancy?
Miss, I don't have the phonics book.
Why don't you have the phonics book? Okay, guys, let me tell you something. The books are on the application. This is first. You can find them on the application. Or if you do not have the book, then you have the lecture. You can open the lecture on the application also. Okay? I will talk about these details at the end of this session. Don't worry, Nancy.
Can you show us how to?
Okay, so first, before we start with the complex sentences, we have to revise the simple and the compound sentence. What is the simple sentence? As we said before, that the simple sentence has only one complete subject and one complete predicate. So it is one independent clause. Example, I like to study grammar. I like to study grammar. One subject, I, one predicate, like to study grammar. Okay, so this makes a simple sentence. It is called an independent clause. It's one independent clause. And we know that the independent clause must end with a period or a semicolon. Okay, guys, so the simple sentence is only one independent clause that has one complete subject and one complete predicate. Example, I love you. I, one subject, love you, one predicate. Okay, so it makes an independent clause. It has one subject and one predicate. Okay, this is the simple sentence. Now let's move to the compound sentence. If you remember, we said that the compound sentence is made up of two or more simple sentences. Two or more simple sentences. I join them together either with a comma and one of the fanboys or with a semicolon only. Examples. I like to study grammar and I love this class. So here I joined I like to study grammar is one independent clause. I love this class is another independent clause. Together I joined them and I added a comma with a coordinating conjunction. The second way to make a compound sentence is using the semicolon only without any fanboys, only a semicolon. I like to study grammar, semicolon. I love this class. Okay? So the first independent clause, I like to study grammar. The second independent clause, I love this class. Another example, I love you and you love me. I have the first independent clause, I love you. The second independent clause, you love me. So two independent clauses joined together, they make a compound sentence. They make a compound sentence. Now, what about the complex sentences? This is our lecture about complex sentences. What do we mean by complex sentences? Let's see. A complex sentence is a simple sentence. So first of all, I have a simple sentence. I have an independent clause to which a part of sentence is added. So we have an independent clause which is added to another part of a sentence which we call dependent clause. Dependent clause. From the word dependent, when we say dependent, we mean something that cannot stand alone. Something, when we say dependent, we mean something that cannot stand alone. Anything dependent, it depends on other to be complete. For example, the dependent clause cannot give you a complete idea. It needs help from others. So here comes the independent clause to help the dependent clause. Okay, so the independent clause is strong, is enough to stand alone, and it has a complete idea. But the dependent clause is not strong, it is weak, and it needs help from others. So it asks the independent clause to help it, to help her. So the independent clause helps the dependent clause. Examples. Because, sorry, because I like to study grammar. Let's take the first part. Because I like to study grammar. Okay. Because I like to study grammar. Right. Did I understand anything? Did I understand the idea? No. Is it strong? Can it stand alone? No. It cannot stand alone. It's not strong. It needs help. So it is a dependent clause. Let's read the second part. I love this class. I love this class. Strong enough. I understand it. So it's called independent clause. So here we added the independent clause to the dependent clause to become a complex sentence. To become a complex sentence. So here the independent clause helped the dependent clause. And we can write it in a different way. We can say, I love this class. I love this class. This is the independent clause because I like to study grammar. This is the dependent. Because I like to study grammar. This is the dependent. Okay? Okay, guys. So The definition of the complex sentence is when I have an independent clause added to a dependent clause to complete its meaning. An independent clause added to a dependent clause to complete its meaning, because the dependent clause cannot stand alone. It's called a fragment. And notice something, that every dependent clause starts with a subordinating conjunction. The dependent clause starts with a subordinating conjunction, like because. I'm going to show you a table for the subordinating conjunctions at the end. Okay, so the dependent clause starts with a subordinating conjunction. Okay, okay, guys. So again, we repeat that the complex sentence is made up of a dependent clause with an independent clause. Another example, because you love me, I love you. So because you love me, when you take it alone, is not enough. You cannot understand the full meaning of it. So it is a dependent clause. But when we take the second part, I love you is an independent clause because I can understand it. So a dependent clause joined to an independent clause to make a complex sentence. The dependent clause needs the rest of the sentence for support. It needs the rest of the sentence for support to be complete. So the dependent clause cannot stand alone, like the baby. The baby cannot stand alone, it needs help. So the dependent clause, it cannot stand alone, it needs help. Okay, guys? Also, what can we say about the dependent clause? We call it a fragment. Why? Because it's not complete. It doesn't have a complete idea. So a dependent clause contains subject and verb. It starts with a subordinating conjunction, but it does not have a complete thought. So you see, the dependent clause starts with the subordinating conjunction. It has a subject and a verb, but it does not have a complete idea. So I cannot say that it's a complete sentence. No, it's a fragment. It's a dependent clause. It needs help like the baby. Okay, you see, dependent clauses like babies cannot stand alone. They cannot stand alone. So again, I repeat, the complex sentence is made up of a dependent clause and independent clause. The dependent clause cannot stand alone. It depends on others. It needs help. It cannot stand alone. It's like a baby. It starts with a subordinating conjunction, and it has a subject and a verb, but no complete idea. No complete idea. While the independent clause, it can stand alone. It has a complete idea, and it has a subject and a predicate. Okay? So the dependent clause is like a baby, and it starts with the subordinating conjunction. Now, how to punctuate, how to add the comma in the complex sentence. Since dependent clauses are only part of a sentence, you can never connect them to another sentence with a semicolon. So first of all, we cannot use a semicolon in the complex sentence. This is wrong. I cannot say I have loved you for years, semicolon, although I never admitted it. No, guys, we cannot use a semicolon. We cannot use a semicolon. Semicolons are only used in compound sentences. So I say, I have loved you for years, although I never admitted it. Although is another subordinating conjunction, like because. Okay? Here, I have loved you for years is an independent clause. It can stand alone. It has a subject. It has a predicate. Okay, guys, and it has a complete idea. Let's take the second part. Although I never admitted it. Although I never admitted it. Here, there is a subordinating conjunction. There is a subject, a predicate, but there is no complete idea. Although I never admitted it, I do not understand it. So this is a dependent clause. So you see, this is a dependent clause. This is the independent, and this is the dependent clause. It starts with the subordinating conjunction. When you start with the independent clause, then you continue with the dependent clause, then you do not add a comma. When you start with the independent clause, then you do not use a comma. But if you start with the dependent clause, if you start with although I never admitted it, then you have to add a comma, then you write the independent clause. Through practice, through practicing the exercises, we're going to understand them more. Okay? We're going to understand them more. Now let's have a look on the common subordinating conjunctions. What are these subordinating conjunctions that we're going to use? Wait, guys, I'm going to take your questions when I finish this slide. Okay, like after, although, as, because, before, if, okay? Also, we can use who, whose, why, whom, that, where, when, which, okay? And the rest also are called subordinating conjunctions, but let's focus on these. There is something you have to know. All of them are called subordinating conjunctions, but when you find who, whose, whom, which, and that, we call them relative pronouns. Relative pronouns. Repeat them after me. Who, whose, whom, which, that. Who, whose, whom, which, that. They are called relative pronouns. But when I find where, when, and why, where, when, and why, I call them relative adverbs. Relative adverbs. So let's repeat them. All of them are called subordinating conjunctions, but when I find who, whose, whom, which, and that are called relative pronouns. When I find where, when, why, I call them relative adverbs. I call them relative adverbs. Okay, guys? Okay? Let me take your questions now. Amal? Amal?
Yes.
Okay, what is your question?
No,
If
I
you want-
don't know. I don't want to answer.
You don't have a
I don't
question?
want to answer.
Okay, okay. Nancy? Nancy,
Yes, Miss.
do you have a question?
Yes.
Okay, what is it?
No.
Hurry up, please, Nancy.
Um, Miss, the words that we're taking them are the dependent conjunctions,
What?
right?
I didn't hear you well.
The words that we are circling them, they are the
They are subordinating conjunctions. They are subordinating conjunctions. We find them at the beginning of the dependent clause. We find them at the beginning of the dependent clause. Okay?
okay.
Lana, Najdi? Lana?
Yes.
Yes, Lana, what's your question?
What?
What is your question?
My question,
What is your question?
Miss.
Yes.
When will you will put the dictation and which words?
Dictation, Miss, the dictation, I uploaded it last night. I'm going to talk about the dictation at the end of this session. I'm going to talk about the dictation later. Let's finish now with the grammar. Okay, Lana? Stay with me till the end. Okay. So, guys, let's repeat. Who wants to tell me what's the complex sentence made up of? Eltaf. Eltaf? From what I explained,
Yes, Miss.
can you tell me what is the complex sentence made up of? What do we find in the complex sentence? What do we find in the complex sentence? Do you know the answer? Let's let Nancy help you. Nancy, can you help Altaf?
Yes. It depends on independent conjunction and independent conjunction.
Not conjunction, dependent clause and independent clause. It's made up of a dependent clause and independent clause. The dependent clause starts with a dependent conjunction or a subordinating conjunction, we call it.
And
Bravo,
independent clause.
bravo, Nancy, bravo, Nancy. So as Nancy said, the complex sentence contains a dependent clause and an independent clause, and the dependent clause starts with a subordinating conjunction. Is it clear now, Ya Altaf? Is it clear? Okay, dear.
Yes, but I don't hear you.
Oh, okay, okay. You didn't hear me well. Okay, later I'm going to ask you another question. Don't worry. Don't worry. Okay? Okay, don't worry. So, as Nancy said, that the complex sentence is made up of a dependent and independent clause, and the dependent clause starts with a subordinating conjunction. Another question, okay? Why do we call it a dependent clause? Talia, can you answer this question?
Miss, actually, Talia, she didn't understand very well.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay. Okay, what's the point? What's the thing that you didn't understand exactly? The dependent or the independent clause?
What you didn't understand, tell the teacher.
The dependent.
Okay. You remember last time that we talked about the independent clause. And we said that. Are you hearing me, Talia? Can you hear me?
Yes, a little bit.
Okay, okay. Listen, Talia.
Yes.
Okay, when we say independent clause, if you remember, we say that it's a simple sentence. It has one subject, one predicate, and a complete idea. Okay, this is the independent clause. It can stand alone. It can work. It's strong. It doesn't need help. Okay, but when we say dependent clause, we mean it's weak. Why? The dependent clause has a subject, has a verb, a predicate, but it doesn't have a complete idea. It doesn't have a complete idea, and it starts with a subordinating conjunction. It starts with one of these words. Okay? Since it doesn't have a complete idea, then I cannot understand it. It needs help from another part. It needs help from another part, so that's why I add the dependent clause to it. So when they are added together, they make a complex sentence. Okay? Let me repeat it for you, all of you. The dependent clause is weak. It's not strong. It cannot stand alone. It cannot stand alone. First of all, because it starts with a subordinating conjunction and it doesn't have a complete idea. It doesn't have a complete idea. So I cannot understand it. I cannot consider it a complete sentence. We call it dependent clause. Here comes the strong independent clause and helps the dependent clause, which is the baby. We call it a baby. Okay? So we call the dependent clause a baby because we cannot understand it. Is it clear, Talia? Clear?
Yes, okay.
أكيد? Sure? Sure? Are you sure? Is it still something confusing you?
It's confusing, tell her.
No, it's not. It's
Okay,
just
through practice.
confusing,
Through
tell her.
practice.
It's
Yeah.
just like
Let me
I
tell
don't
you
know.
something. Through practice, now when we practice the
Okay.
exercises, you will find that it's very easy. Let me show you how. Stay with me, Talia. Let me repeat this point. These are subordinating conjunctions, but especially who, whose, whom, which, that, we call them relative pronouns. Guys, please repeat them after me. Who, whose, whom, which, that are called relative pronouns. Who, whose, whom, which, that are called relative pronouns. Where, when, why are called relative adverbs. Where, when, why are called relative adverbs. Okay? Okay? Now we're going to solve an exercise about these relative adverbs and relative pronouns. Okay, guys. So to solve the exercises, okay, you have to go to your grammar practice book. We start from page 16, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. You have 5 pages in your grammar practice book. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Here in the lecture, we're going to solve 16 and 17 together. The rest are for you to solve them, and later we're going to correct them. Okay? So let me take Talia again, since she was confused about this exercise. Talia, can you read the
Yes.
question? Can you read the question?
Yes, sure. Read each clause on the line provided right if the clause
Right eye. This is I. Right eye.
Oh, right eye.
If
The
the
clause if
is independent.
independent, yes,
Uh-huh.
and mm,
Can
and
stand
can
alone.
stand alone as a sentence. Write D if it
It
is dependent and cannot
stand alone.
underline the
Ordinating conjunction if it's a dependent
if
clause. Let me explain it simply for all of you. So here I have a clause.
your voice is low.
Some are dependent and some are independent. If it's independent, I just write I. If it's dependent, I write D, and I have to underline the subordinating conjunction. I have to underline the subordinating conjunction. Talia, number one, please.
She
Talia.
got a perfect score.
Okay, she got a perfect score. Look, Talia, ask yourself, does it have a subject?
Uh, yes, it
Does it
does.
have a verb, a predicate?
Yes,
Does it have a complete idea? Do you understand it when you read it?
yes.
Okay, so it has a subject, it has a predicate, you understand it, it has a complete idea, then it is what? Dependent or independent? When I understand it and it has a complete idea, then it is what? I or D? Excellent. So it is an independent clause. And notice something that it does not start with a subordinating conjunction. You see, Talia? Talia, do the second one. Sorry, guys, but just because Talia was confused. Talia, do the second one.
Because she was so smart.
Okay. What
Uh,
is it a complete sentence? Does it
D.
have a D? It's dependent. Does it have a complete idea? What happened because she was smaller? I
So
cannot understand it. Do you understand it? No, there is no complete idea here, right?
it's but it's part of the idea though.
Part. Yes, excellent. So you see
It's part of
part,
the idea.
fragment. Yes, that's what I mean by fragment. Because you weren't here in semester one, so you might not get what a fragment means. When we say a fragment, we mean a piece or a part. So it's exactly a part of an idea. It's not a complete idea. It's a slice. Let's say like it's a slice of pizza, but it's not the whole pizza. So here it's a slice, a part of the idea. It's not the complete idea. And what does it start with? It starts with the subordinating
Right.
conjunction because, excellent. Is it clear now?
Yes.
Is it clear now? Okay. So I hope that everything is clear for you, Italia, now. Let me take Nancy. Nancy, please, guys, you have to hurry up because the session will end in 8 minutes.
Yes.
Nancy, number 3.
When it was time to go.
Uh-huh. What is it?
Sure. My brother, sorry.
No, no. Yes, it's okay. Is it dependent or independent clause? Hurry up.
Independent.
Dependent or independent? Nancy? Okay.
دي مش not
Dependent.
I دي.
Okay, dependent. Where is the subordinating conjunction? Where is the subordinating conjunction? Okay, so when here is the subordinating conjunction, here we have a dependent clause. As Talia said, it's a part of the idea. It does not have a complete idea. So it's a dependent clause and it starts with the subordinating conjunction when. Amal? Amal?
Yes.
Number 4,
Yes.
please.
Yeah. The school bell rang.
Okay. D, is it dependent? Okay. Does it have a subject? Amal,
Yes.
does it have a subject?
Mm,
Yes, it has a subject, the school. We're talking about the school. Does it have a predicate? Yes, it has a predicate.
predicate.
Rank. The school bell is the subject, rank is the predicate. Do I understand it? Does it have a complete idea? Yes, I
A
understand
complete
it.
idea.
Yes, it has a complete idea. So when it has a complete idea, is it dependent or independent, Amal?
In
Independent.
independent.
Bravo. It's an independent. It has a complete idea, then it's independent. Yes, thank you. Lana Najdi.
Yes.
Lana, can you do number 5, please?
Of the heat outside.
Uh-huh.
It's dependent.
Dependent. Where is the
D.
subordinating? Yes, where is the subordinating conjunction?
Because.
Excellent. Thank you, Lana. Please mute yourself. Ali Hamoud. Ali Hamoud. Number 6, please.
I felt very sleepy.
Uh-huh.
I.
It's an independent clause. Thank you, Ali. Excellent. Okay. Iltaf. Iltaf.
Yes, Matt.
Yes. Number 7, please.
The doctor helped.
The doctor help.
Independent.
Excellent. It's independent. Thank you. Thank you. Let's take Ali Fawaz. Ali, you're not active today. Why?
Before I could ask,
Mhm.
it's dependent.
Excellent.
Dependent.
What is the subordinating conjunction?
Before.
Excellent. Thank you, Ali. Ali, yes, thank you. Mute yourself. Amir. 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 Yeah, Amir. طيب, okay. When people drive fast, Aline. Aline.
Dependent.
Dependent. Thank you. What is the subordinating conjunction?
When.
When. Excellent. Thank you, Aline. And the last one, it can be dangerous. It can be dangerous. It has a subject, it has a predicate, it has a complete idea, then it is an independent clause. Thank you. Thank you, guys. So before the session ends in 3 minutes, I want to talk about the dictation. Look what. I'm going to share with you the words from the book, since most of you say that they don't have the book or they don't know where they must find the book. Okay, let me share the screen with you guys. Page 25 in your book, words from 1 to 20. Please write on the sheet of paper. Page 25 in the book, phonics book, from 1 to 20. This is the dictation. For example, Ali Fawaz wants to do the dictation. So his mom tells him, Bolt, he has to say B-O-L-T. B-O-L-T. He must not look at the words, okay? So the words are in page 25. You see page 25 in your phonics book, from 1 to 20 only, from 1 to 20. Yes, Iltaf. Yes, Iltaf.
This word is the dictation.
The dictation, yes, yes.
But
What?
I don't have the book.
Miss, you can find the book on the application. If all of you go to the application, you will find in the library, you will find books. Okay, you will find the books in the library in the application. These guys, okay? If you don't have if you cannot find them on the application, then you can find these words in the lecture of week 21. Okay, guys, please. So the link for Flipgrid is found on the notices on the application also. The link for the Flipgrid is found on the application in the notices. Okay, guys, let's see if I can give you the link now before the session ends in 1 minute. Yalla, I'm going to bring the Flipgrid link for you. Tomorrow we're going to continue. Yes, Karim. Karim Kirdi, you want to say something?
Yes.
Yes, Habibi.
Miss, where we want to write the dictation?
Do not write it. You have to spell it like spelling bee. You just spell it. Your mother has to record a video of you spelling the words, okay?
Okay.
Okay? Okay. Another student wants to ask, Marie.
Okay.
Marie? Marie, do you have any question? Talia, you still have any question? Amal?
Yes. When is gonna be the dictation?
The last day, the deadline for the dictation is on Saturday. After Saturday, I'm not going to accept anything.
Okay.
Okay, this is the link.
Okay.
Yes. Yes, speak, please.
Miss Lynn, you write on WhatsApp that do
I cannot hear you.
do